Welcome to the lecture in Hinduism. Okay, and Hinduism will be talking about one of the major religions in the world. Most people around the world don't know the details of Hinduism. Even those who practice, it's very confounding. I was raised as a Hindu, born and raised as a Hindu, and I didn't have the awareness of Hinduism as much as a scholar when I started to learn about it. So, I have some about 25, 26 points for you to write it down and learn, and I'm going to tell you some stories also in that process for you to remember. Hindus are found mostly in India, the country India and Nepal. If you go around the world, yes, you would see Hindus who have migrated from India, but you wouldn't see Hindus similar to that of Christians or Muslims around the world for generations practicing and especially proselytized, because Christianity proselytizes, sends missionaries to convert. Hindus usually don't do that. So most of the Hindus are born into it. Okay. And Hindu, the word itself came from, because these are people, the Indus Valley civilization we talked about, Sindhu, the river, Sindhu, Sindhu, the river. So these are people beyond the river Sindhu. That's why they are called Hindu. So it's name given by people outside India. Here's an important one about Hinduism. Third point. Okay. There's no dogmas. There's no dogma. That means there's no heresy as well, because there's no dogma. What do you mean dogma? There's no binding requirement to follow the faith. Not even a belief in God. You don't even need to have a belief in God to claim yourself as Hindu. So the fourth point is there's no Hindu way because of it. That is, you wouldn't find Hindus saying that that this is the true way. Okay, so Hindus let you, even different practicing Hindus will let them find their own truth. So my dad, practicing Hindu, will let me find my own truth. It's not about there is one truth and that is what it is. And for example, Christianity and Islam all have claimed that it is the true religion, right? Hinduism doesn't claim like that. And if you look at Christianity, it will say that the path to my Father is through me, and so you have to follow Jesus to go to Father. Similarly, in Islam, one of the five pillars of Islam, the first pillar, there's no God but God, and Muhammad is his prophet. So there's doctrines, dogmas, whereas Hinduism doesn't have any. The fifth point is Upanishad. Write it down, or I will spell it to you. It's a text, religious text. You know already that Vedas are texts of Hinduism. Hinduism doesn't have Upanishad. Upanishad is one of the texts. It has multiple texts, Hinduism. If you take Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they all have one religious text, Quran, Bible, whereas Hinduism have multiple texts. Okay, Upanishad is one of them. So the last words of Upanishad, in the final words in Upanishad, is niti niti. That means not this, not this. Niti, N-E-T-I, N-E-T-I. Not this, not this. That means you cannot define God. You cannot define God because He is beyond our definition. Okay. And the sixth point, this is the only major religion. Yes, Hinduism is one of the top three major religions in the world that doesn't claim it's a true religion. I have already explained it, so you could write it down. Sixth point. So the first point is you have to be born as a Hindu. Second point, people, how the word came to be, Sindhu River, right? Sindhu River. Third one is there's no dogmas. And there's no Hindu way. Fourth one. Fifth one is the Upanishads, last final words, nitty nitty. The sixth one, there's the only major religion in the world which doesn't claim it is its true religion, unlike Christianity or Islam. Because remember, in Christianity, I am the way, the truth, and life, it says. Hinduism doesn't have anything like that. Seventh one is there's no Hindu heresy because there's no dogma. So you don't attack a cherished Hinduism by saying something against it, because Hinduism is very open to accepting things. So if you are practicing Hindu, you could be a non-believer in God. Yes, that's correct. And either I'll come to that later. There's also the eighth point, write it down. There's no authority, single authority. What do you mean? Like Christianity has Pope, is the top authority, like hierarchy, right? Hinduism doesn't have an authority like that. In Islam, caliphates, they, right after Prophet Muhammad, for those who know Islam, I will explain Islam later in another lecture. And caliphate, first caliphate, second caliphate, third caliphate, they were caliphates. And there's no authority in Hinduism. Okay. The ninth point, it's a very interesting point. Hinduism just doesn't, it's not just about tolerance. It's also about acceptance. This is important. Tolerance is what? Okay, my way is the true way. Your way is not true way, but I will tolerate it, even if it's not true. That's tolerance. Okay, the West sometimes preaches you have to have tolerance for others' different opinions. Acceptance, on the other hand, is yes, my way is a true way, and yours could be also a true way, and I accept it. So in Hinduism, it's openness to accepting ideas of other religions as true religion, because Hinduism doesn't say only mine is the true religion. Okay, and then at the 10th point, because of its openness, it has a diversity of gods. There are so many gods and goddesses in Hinduism. So about 330 million, nobody knows the exact number, 330 million gods and goddesses. And so it's infinite aspect. It shows the infinite aspect of divinity, because you cannot say divinity is just this one. Sometimes Hindus worship animals, sunrise. So it is open, because Hinduism believes God is everywhere. Even inside, if I'm a practicing Hindu, even inside me, He's everywhere. God is, right? Okay. And then I'm going to teach you the next point, 11th point, moksha. Write it down. Moksha. Moksha. What is moksha? Hindus don't believe in a body having a soul. Hindus believe in a soul having a body. What do you mean? So, say I'm a Hindu, my body is just giving protection for my soul. When my life passes, my soul will move away, it'll leave the body, it'll go on, and it'll reincarnate, it'll give another birth. Hinduism believes in multiple births. So moksha is the penultimate goal of your soul joining with God, Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. So finally joining with God. How do you get to do that? How do you get your soul to go and join finally God and stop your cycle of rebirths in this world? You do that by your actions and your words. So the good you do will promote you basically to reach there. There's a economist, Hindu economist, Amartya Sen. He's a Nobel Prize winning economist. He jokingly said, if I am a good economist in this life, next life I might be born as a physicist. If I'm a bad economist in this life, I will end up be born as a sociologist. That's making fun of sociologists, but it's to make you understand, using a joke he said, that if you do something really bad, you might end up being born as a dog or a miserable life. And even the caste system, the caste system we discussed, and you will study extensively later in future classes. You will go to the higher level of birth in the caste in the next birth if you do good things in this life. So, and the more good and deeds and words you do, you will achieve your soul with God. That's moksha, achieving with God is. The next point, 12. There are three. Trinity is there, even in Christianity. Isn't it interesting? And in Hinduism, three gods. The Brahma, Brahma, yeah. Brahma is the creator. Brahma is the creator of gods. He doesn't have many temples. He has few temples in India. If you go, his temples are found in Rajasthan and other places. The two other gods I'm going to talk about have a lot of temples. Okay? His job is creation, Brahma's job. The second god is Vishnu, Vishnu. Vishnu is creator. I'm sorry, this guy is creator. This one is protector. He protects. Okay? And then comes Siva, Siva. His job is destruction, killing. Okay? Creation, protection, death. All these three roles, three gods. And they had three wives. These three dudes have three wives. So Brahma has a goddess. His wife is named Saraswati. I'm going to write it down so you could spell it Saraswati. Saraswati. Saraswati has a role. Her role is education, knowledge. And if you see her photograph, all these names I have mentioned, I want you to Google and click on the images and see the photograph. Why? Otherwise, you won't remember. You have to associate photos with the names. Then you get familiarized with this, okay? Unless you're Hindu already and you know this and you're familiar with it. Look at it. It's fascinating for a Western mind to see these pictures of gods, okay? If you're particularly from a religion who don't use image of God, you would see interesting, at least, to see Hindu gods with human-like structures, but also have multiple hands. And especially Saraswati is sitting on a lotus. Lotus is a flower which grows in mud, and it's coming out without getting tainted by that mud, right? And she sits in the lotus, right? And sometimes she's sitting on, when he's traveling, she's sitting on a peacock. What's up with peacock? She's flying. Peacock is to show that she subdues her ego to gain knowledge. Yeah, that's good for all of us when we are learning. Subduing ego to learn. Saraswati's role is in intelligence. Okay, going back to these three dudes, gods. The second one, Vishnu, right? Vishnu. He has a wife whose her name, goddess name is Lakshmi. That's my mother's name as well. Lakshmi. Lakshmi in general is known for wealth, money, wealth. So they pray to Saraswati for knowledge and education, to perform well in exams, to Lakshmi for wealth. And the third person, Sivas, is Sakti. His wife is called Sakti. S-A-K-H-I. I'm sorry. S-A-K-T-H-I. Sakti. That means power. Sakti. Sakti is bravery, courage. Okay. All these three gods have roles, and three goddesses also have roles they play. Now, there are 330 million gods. We can't go into details of each of the gods, but some of the important ones we talk about, and these are very well-known gods throughout North India and South India. And there's two sons for Shiva and Sakti, excuse me, and their names are Ganesh and Murugan. Ganesh is spelled G-A-N-E-S-H. Ganesh is the god, Hindu god, with elephant face. Have you seen it? With a tusk and trunk. You probably would have. Just Google Ganesh and look at it. Elephant face god. And he is prayed because he removes obstacles from your path. Whatever thing you're starting in life, or going for an interview, starting a new career, building a new home, any profession, anything, they will have Ganesh. Ganesh is somebody who removes obstacles. Okay, and Ganesh has a snake in his waist. That's like the cosmic energy he is controlling. Ganesh has two wives, and one is called Riddhi, and another one is called Siddhi and Buddhi. Siddhi is S-I-D-D-H-I, which is about spiritual power. Okay, and Buddhi, B-U-D-D-H-I, Buddhi. Actually, in English they say Buddhi, but Buddhi means intellect. She's about intellect. So you could go on, but you get the picture and the main idea of main gods and goddesses. There's one more goddess I want to talk about. Her name is Kali. Write it down, K-A-L-I. Westerners are fascinated by it because she is menacing, threatening, with multiple arms and ferocious look. Google K-A-L-I and look. And she is known for destroying demons. And she has skulls all over her. These skulls are the ones she has destroyed, the demon skulls. And Kali is also worshipped. My mom used to worship Kali a lot. Okay, now, so that's Kali is the 13th, 12th is the triumvirate, the three male gods we talked about. You don't need to write it in the points as I have written, but if you want to follow, that is fine. But I want you to have these numbers because as a student, from my past experience, I know I like to have points to remember. So that's why I'm doing that for your guidance. Okay, the next one is Hinduism, modern Hinduism. These gods I mentioned just are not the ones which are mentioned in Rig Veda and all these Vedic gods I've talked about, right? Those were Indra, Agni, all this which were like thousands of years ago. Remember in the Indus Valley civilization? But these are modern gods. So Hinduism changes, it's open, so it could observe and change. It's not rigid. When it's rigid, when other religions came to challenge it, so like 500 years before Jesus Christ, Jainism, write it down, that's a religion of India. By the way, in India, you can write down this, is home of 4 big religions. That is, they started there. 4 big religions. What are they? Hinduism, one. Jainism. Okay. Then Buddhism. You know Buddhism, right? You heard of it. Buddha started it. Buddhism started in India. Yeah. Even though it's not strong in India now, that's a totally different story. I'll talk for another class. Buddhism spread around Southeast Asia, even China and Sri Lanka, everywhere. Outside India more than in India. Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. Sikhism is the turban wearing Singhs. In fact, in America, right after 9/11, some ignorant racists attacked the Sikhs thinking they are Muslims who were part of the terrorist attack in 9/11. Even if they were Muslims, they're not the ones who perpetrated the act. That's a whole different conversation. But ignorant racists didn't know the difference between Sikhism and Islam and attacked many other Sikhs. So the point is, four of these major religions, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, all started in India. But India is home to every religion you could imagine. That's correct. Right now, if you go to India, except one, Shintoism, which is Japanese religion, is the only one which is you wouldn't find in India. All other religions are the religions of the world. You could find Zoroastrianism, you could go on. India is very diverse, ethnically, religiously, and culturally. Now, let's continue our discussion. Buddhism came to challenge Hinduism, okay, because of the strict protocols of Hinduism. But remember, Hinduism will accept. Hinduism observed Buddhism and evolved. What did it do? It observed what? Before Buddhism came, Hinduism did not have sannyasis. Sannyasi means those monks, Hindu monks. You know Buddhist monks. Hindu monks were not there. Sannyasis, they're called, wearing this saffron cloth and walking around, spending their life, some of them in celibacy and praying to God, going to all the very Hindu religious sites, okay? And Buddhism, it's observed from Buddhism, Hinduism. Similarly, Jainism challenged, right? And Jainism is the one which brought ahimsa, A-H-I-M-S-A. Write it down, A-H-I-M-M-S-A. Ahimsa means peaceful way. And many of the Hindus become vegetarian. You know, not all Hindus are vegetarian. That's, many people make a mistake. I was raised in Hindu. We used to eat. People usually in the lower caste, like me, eat meat. And ahimsa, just because we eat doesn't mean we'll eat pork and beef. We eat chicken, fish, even goat, but not the other red meats. Now, ahimsa is a very important principle in India and part of Hinduism, which came from Jainism and vegetarianism. Okay, ahimsa will be taken by Gandhi, but that's later for future classes. So now let's move on to the 16th point: varieties of religious practices. Hinduism is not monolithic. The practices are diverse. I mean, diverse, sometimes it's opposite. Like, I'll give you an example. I come from the state of Tamil Nadu, okay? And where a Hindu widow has to wear white sari. So if she wears a white sari, that means that's a symbol of she lost her husband. And it's about mourning, white sari. My grandmother used to wear, after grandfather's death, all her rest of her life, white sari. Nothing else. She can't wear any color. But if you go to the neighboring state, Kerala, okay, their Hindu women about to get married wear white sari. Okay, that is their auspicious, good omen, not like a sign of mourning or bad. So Hinduism, same Hinduism. And the religious practices is not only the thing. Even in celebration of religious things, because there are so many gods, celebrations varies. The Hindus in the state where I come from, Tamil Nadu, southern tip state, Tamil Nadu, which speaks Tamil, we celebrate Pongal, P-O-N-G-A-L. By the way, there's a restaurant in New York named Pongal that's named after that. Pongal is a festival, which is like a harvest festival celebrating what the gift of God has given. If you go to North, unless they are Tamilian from Tamil Nadu, those Hindus won't celebrate Pongal. And similarly in Kerala, they celebrate a festival called Onam, O-N-A-M, Onam. I mean, the story of Onam itself is very mythological. It's about a king, I'm going to make it quick and short, king ruling its people and doing so good job that the gods got jealous of people loving the king so much. So one of the god comes down and in a dwarf form and asks God, the king, for some charity. God says, "What do you want?" "I would like as much rice field as my steps, 3 of my steps." The king is like, "Oh, this is a small guy. Yeah, sure, take 3 steps." And then the god shows his gargantuan size to the size of the cosmos, and takes the first step, which is the entire earth, second step, the entire heaven, and the third step, he won't have a place to put. And then he will put it on the head of the king, and the head king will humbly subjugate himself, and God will apparently push him into earth. But even though the king died, he will come once in a year to see how his people are doing, and the people are celebrating his arrival every year at the time. That's Onam, O-N-A-M. So this celebration of Onam, you wouldn't see it even in my country, my state, or my other states. So Hinduism is diverse in its celebrations, in its practitioners, and the types of gods. It's various. And even the caste distinctions, there are different castes. Different castes have different types of gods as well. I come from a most backward caste, Maravars. We have different type of gods which others don't have. And the celebration for that is different, which won't be even in a neighboring district. Forget about neighboring state. In a different district, it won't be. So that's how it's eclectic. Okay, it's not monolithic. Now the next one, 17. Okay. Before I go to that, another point I want to make. Even in we talked about Shiva and Vishnu, right? The people who worship to Vishnu, they put 3 lines in their head this way, like you could remember as we, so we, like this way, 3 lines. But people who worship to Shiva put 3 lines on their head like this. Yeah. So there's differences in it. So the 17th one is acceptance, right? I already talked about acceptance, but here I'm going to give particulars. Jews, when their temple was destroyed, second temple, and left Israel to go around the world, some of the Jews came also to the Indian shores. India is the only country Jews did not face anti-Semitic attacks. Why? And some scholars say because of the openness of diversity of acceptance of practices. And so Hindus have seen different Hindus practicing different ways. So it didn't seem any jarring of Jewish people praying, worshiping their version of God. And so Jews stayed in India amicably, peacefully. Some of them rose to even become generals in the military. Later, when Israel was formed, they left. So that is 18 texts, T-E-X-T-S. I have already told you Hinduism has different texts, right? Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Adur Veda. Those are the 4 Vedas. But also there are Upanishads, which I talked about earlier. You could teach a whole class on Upanishad. We're not going to go into it. This is just one lecture in Hinduism. Upanishad, 1 text. There's another 2 epics. These are famous, very famous. And one of the epic is the largest epic in the world. It's called Mahabharata. Okay, I'm going to spell it for you. Maha is great. The word means M-A-H-A. Maha. Bharata. Bharat is actually India. Mahabharata. Mahabharata. It's an epic. And I'll tell you the story. Ramayana. Ramayana is the two epics. It's different epics. I'll tell you the stories. So Mahabharata is a story. It's a very complex and different branches of different stories there. But I'm going to go into the just main story. It's a story of adharma. Dharma means justice. Adharma means injustice. There's also other meanings for dharma. I'll come to it. Dharma is a story of injustice. Injustice to five brothers, okay, Pandavas, five, by Kauravas, okay, and this injustice resulted in war between these five and the other almost 100 brothers. Those guys, they fought a war, which is one of the biggest war. So why this war story epic? It teaches good and bad. And there's a wonderful text, a small text inside Mahabharata called Gita, Bhagavad Gita. You probably would have heard of it. Bhagavad Gita. Okay? I'm writing it. I'll show you. Bhagavad Gita. See it right below Mahabharata? Bhagavad Gita. And that's a text, philosophy, religious philosophy, which is even read by Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb in America. In fact, when the bomb was tested and exploded, he gave an interview. He quoted from Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita about? I'll tell you. So Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. Remember, there's a big battle between the good and the bad guys. One of the good guys, out of the five, one of the good guys, his chariot is driven to the battlefield by God himself. But God incarnated as a man, Krishna, is driving. Yeah, Krishna spelled the same way as my last name, without the N at the end. Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna, A-R-J-U-N-A, Arjuna. So these guys go into the battlefield. And what do Arjuna see? Not just the enemies. The enemies have made Arjuna's grandfather and other family members as protectors of their side. So Arjuna has to kill his own grandfather and his relatives in order to win the war. So Arjuna says, I can't do this. I can't kill my grandfather. I love him. I don't want to fight this freaking war. And he throws his arrows. But Krishna instructs him. Why do we need to study this? Why did Robert Oppenheimer or anyone studies ethics? When you are confronted by two sides, what to do? This gives you a guidance. So Lord Krishna says, yes, I know that you're a relative, you can kill all those things, but you are a soldier. You have to do your duty. Dharma. Do your duty. Okay, duty is also dharma. You must do your duty. I can destroy, I'm God, I could destroy all of them. But as a soldier, you have to do your duty without expecting results. And that is important. So basically, in the caste structure, everybody does their part in the society, their duty. There will be order in the society. There won't be chaos. There will be everything in harmony. There's even a Hindu saying there, if there's harmony and peace inside you, there'll be peace outside in the world. Okay? So Krishna is instructing Arjuna to wage the war. Finally, Arjuna will end up fighting and killing his family members and killing the bad dudes and winning the war because he's doing what he is made to do as a soldier. So if I'm a teacher, good dharma is to teach you good. If you're a student in Hinduism, good dharma is to be a good student, study, not slack. And if you're a good doctor, you should be about treating your patients good. If it's a cow, the dharma of a cow is to give milk. Similarly, every living being has to do its duty. That's what Gita is, one of the advices. Gita has a mix of Upanishads and the Vedas. It has many of the good stuff in it. Philosophy, ideas, religious. Are you following? Okay. Now, so the 19th point, there is no Hindu way. There's no way, Hindu way. There's just, there's no dogmas, I have already told you. So there's no Hindu way. It's only my way, my religion, mine is the truth. Not like that. So 20th point, moral life. Moral life in Hinduism is dharma. To do your duty, right? It could be called, dharma could be called righteousness, justice, or doing the right thing. Doing the right thing. Okay? Oh, I missed explaining about Ramayana. If it was class, you would have told me in a video. Nobody reminded me. Ramayana, right? Another epic, I wrote it down. It's about Lord Rama, who is born there to kill a bad dude again. It's a story of his journey. Making it short, his wife will be kidnapped by this bad dude called Ravana and taken to Sri Lanka. Yeah, Sri Lanka is a country now, right? Beneath India, right? And in fact, some would say it's like the inverted. India is a peninsula tapering. Sri Lanka tapers here this way. Gotta look it up. And Ramayana story is about Ravanan, the king of Sri Lanka, takes Raman's wife, kidnaps her, she's a beauty, and takes her and forces her to marry him and has her in prison, incarcerated. While Rama goes and kills him and his brothers, sounds similar to Mahabharata, but it's different, kills and brings her back and comes back to rule. Rama is a god for many Hindus. Of course, not every Hindu prays to the same God, as you know. Gandhi, when he was shot, the last words from his mouth were, Hey Ram, that is, hey God, hey God. He wasn't like, oh man, I got shot. He didn't say anything bad about the dude who shot him. We'll talk about him, Goche. So, caste, what is that? 21 now, 21 point. Caste is part of Vedas. The Constitution gives, Indian Constitution is the one which went far and beyond any other constitution in terms of affirmative policy. Yeah. See, here in America, we have problems with affirmative policies. Left wants affirmative policy, right wants to push it back. So it's a back and forth, right? And here, even the left wants its equal opportunity. In India, it's not just equal opportunity, it's equal outcome. What does that mean? There are reserved seats for untouchables. That is the lowest of the totem pole, below Sudras, right? And even for backward caste, other backward caste, there are reserved seats. And even for women, certain districts, only women can run as a candidate. Only untouchable person. And certain number of seats in colleges, employment, everything. So it's not just equal opportunity, equal outcome, okay? And caste is, by the way, still there. Yeah. Well, 27, the modern survey shows 27% still practice caste in India. And even when people who leave Hinduism, they think, oh, if I switch religion, they wouldn't practice. Sikhism, 23%. It goes down compared to Hinduism, but 23% Sikhs look and marginalized based on caste, 23%. 18% Muslims do. 5% Christians. Christians is the lowest. And next one, 22. Now, this is an interesting quote from one of the readers I read for this lecture. His name is Shashi Tharoor. He said, he's an MP, Member of Parliament of India. He said, Hindus without a horoscope is like an American without a credit card. I thought it's funny. Hindus without a horoscope. Horoscope means it's like astrology based on where you were born. It's like a book they have. And based on the time of your birth, they will make that. And the planets and how, whether you're going to have good times or bad times this time, So even 1 year before I came to America, I was a college student in India. The horoscope said, one guy, my parents took it to a horoscope astrologist, and he looked at it and he said, next year your son is going to be in America. I can guarantee. They're like, oh, they were happy that he's going to go to graduate school. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm not here to tell you whether it works or not. I'm just telling you what happened. It's up to you to interpret whether this thing is real or not, horoscope. But horoscope, they use that for even to make matchmaking, arranged marriages in India. Marriages are. So in Hinduism, to bring couples together to see whether they will live happily without health problems for the children, genetically, all those things, using horoscopes. Yes. Now, next one, 23rd point. Monks, right? Remember, Jainism created a lot of monks in Hinduism. Many monks were created from India. Some of them become world famous. One of them is Swami, Swami. Swami, so sannyasis, monks are Swami, addressing like doctor, so like a respectful address. His name is Vivekananda. I'm going to write it down. Vivekananda came to Chicago, I'm writing his name, and gave a speech in the World Religious event, Vivekananda. And he talked about, his opening remark was like, dear brothers and sisters of America. People usually say, what, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. He got a standing ovation just for that. People were like, the way he said that. And he talked about Hinduism's openness and acceptance. And if you want to understand Hinduism, some people would say, read his speech, last 3-4 paragraphs. It explains Hinduism. Swami Vivekananda, I even used, in the school I went to had his motto as my school's motto: arise, awake, advance. He was not just a religious reformer, but also a social reformer. In India, he walked from one end to the other, from north to south, east to west, okay, and preached not only religion, Hindu religion, but against child marriage, against inequality, denounced many of these things, okay, and even women's servitude. He preached against. His preachings or his religious is called Advaita, Advaita, Advaita space, second word, Vedanta, Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. I mean, one of his quotes from his speeches I have memorized, and it's inspiring. You know how to achieve success, he says. Take up one idea, think of it, dream of it, let your muscles, nerves, and every part of your body be filled with that idea alone, and leave every other idea away, and this is the way to success. Is very inspiring dude, and he has inspired so many followers. Unfortunately, he died around 39, and he said, give me young, energetic men, I will transform India. Okay, so he is a very world famous Hindu monk. Another one is Maharishi. I don't know whether you heard of him, but he has created, from Hollywood to American political scene, people follow his meditation. Yes, from Oprah to Jerry Seinfeld to everyone uses his meditation, TM, Transcendental Meditation. Have you heard of it? That's from Maharishi. And Maharishi meditation, I learned it in India. Here it's like $1,000 something. I went to India and learned it in $10. And Maharishi created this movement of yoga, meditation, all this Americans in the West. It's to be present. It's health. Harvard has done enough research to show the health benefits of meditation and yoga. Okay, so the next one I want to discuss, 24th point, is motto of independent India is actually based on from Hindu text, from Upanishad. What is it? Truth alone triumphs. in my language, Tamil, it says, Vaime Vellum. So you go to court, they will have this, Vaime Vellum. Truth alone triumphs. That was the motto. Like United States, independent in United States motto was E pluribus unum, out of many one. And in India's motto was truth alone triumphs, and it came from Upanishad, which is a Hindu text. Okay, I'm going to talk about Hindutva. That'll be in a different lecture. I think it's a lot of information, so I'm going to stop it here for Hinduism. And maybe in the next class, I will add that Hindutva, which is about political philosophy of Hinduism. Political philosophy of Hinduism, how three men came and took the Hinduism and transformed into a political ideology which has repercussions even after they have gone throughout India, which helped a political party come to power, which is in power now, called BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party. 2 times they got elected, even in 2019. They got elected in 2014 twice. Also in the 1990s, they got elected. They are a formidable political power organization, and how the ideas of these men, controversial, very controversial, depending on where in the political spectrum you are, left or right, whether you accept or not. Let's talk about that in the next lecture. Good luck.